Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about a recent change that has taken place in the theater of Israel and Hamas war, where the ceasefire agreement that was signed just last month has been broken as Israel has conducted an airstrike and attack over the Gazan territory. So let us try to understand that why did the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has decided to end the Gaza ceasefire before it could have even went to the second phase of negotiation of the ceasefire agreement. Now, if we talk about the present context, a wave of Israeli strikes have been conducted by the Israeli Air Force in the Gaza Strip region early yesterday on the Tuesday that has killed several hundreds of Palestinians. Now, we talk about since the beginning of this war. The beginning of the war we can trace back to the October 7, 2023, when Hamas has entered into the territory of Israel, killed many of the Israeli civilians, and also have kidnapped many of them. So, since the start of the war, Netanyahu has faced dueling, possibly incompatible pressure from two different groups. Now, we know that Hamas has kidnapped and abducted many of the Israeli civilians as well as soldiers. The pressure of the families of the hostages, we can say, was also tremendously high on the Netanyahu, that also might have propelled him to talk about the ceasefire. So the families wanted him to cut a deal with Hamas so that hostages can be freed. But on the other hand, there is a far right coalition partner who support Benjamin Netanyahu's government. So many of the leaders of these coalition parties were unhappy with the ceasefire. They wanted Netanyahu to continue the war with the aim of completely annihilating, or we can say destroying, the Hamas politically as well as militarily. So it is basically and the political we can say the politics of the Israel, and largely the politics of Netanyahu, we can understand from perspective that he has to juggle between these two pressure from these two different groups. Now, who is to blame for this particular violation or end of the ceasefire? Now, know that it was under the presidency of Donald Trump. Basically, he has talked a lot about how he was the major architect of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire, how he should be thanked for maintaining and bringing peace in the region of the Middle East being ravaged by the war. However, his administration, though in the beginning it seemed that he was against any kind of provocation or any kind of continuous of Israel-Hamas war, though he has backed, and his entire administration has backed Netanyahu's decision to unilaterally walk away from the ceasefire that Trump took credit for the brokering. Now, on the other hand, both US and Israel have laid the blame on the Hamas behind the violation, because they have said that first of all, Hamas has denied and refused to release more hostages before negotiations on ending the war can proceed. Also, Israel itself has accused that Hamas was preparing for new attacks. They were trying to recoup their strength. They were trying to bring what you can call as the weapons and arms in the garb of the civilian edge, without providing, however, further evidence in this particular matter. And on the other hand, talk about the reaction of Hamas. The militant group has denied all these allegations. They, on the other hand, have said that Israel denied to go in the second phase of negotiation of the ceasefire agreement. So this is how we can understand the blame game that is being laid by both the parties. Now we talk about the ceasefire agreement. Originally, under the Biden administration is when the ceasefire deal was being brokered and prepared, and the ceasefire would have taken place in three different stages. So if we talk about the first phase of the ceasefire, Hamas and Israel already concluded it, and for many days Hamas was continuously asking Israel to go and negotiate about the second phase of the ceasefire agreement, and that required full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza and lasting ceasefire. These talks were supposed to begin in the early February. However, they were suspended, they were delayed, and now Israel, it seems that ceasefire already has come to an end. These talks may never happen in the near future, at least. Now we talk about the first phase. That was the only phase that has culminated successfully. As a result of the first phase of the ceasefire that lasted somewhere between January 19 to March 1, Hamas has released 25 Israeli hostages and also 8 bodies, unfortunately, who were killed during the Hamas when they were under the Hamas control. In return, Hamas, on the other hand, has got back almost 1,800 Palestinian prisoners that include senior militants as well. Also, as a conclusive phase or conclusive end of the first phase, Israeli forces have pulled back to the buffer zone. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have returned because they thought now the ceasefire has come into force. There is no more threat to their lives. So they returned back to their homes, and there was a surge of humanitarian aid as well that was flowing from the region of Egypt or the borders of Egypt. If we talk about the second phase that did not, basically negotiation about it did not take place, is when the 61 remaining hostages of the Israeli side, including military aged men, should have been released along with the bodies of those who have died. But before this could go on, Israel already has launched a fresh attack. Now, this Israel's attack on Hamas or Gaza Strip should not be considered as a surprise attack. Rather, the Netanyahu's statement itself that he has given in several press conferences can be considered as a foreboding of the present situation. For example, you talk about few of the important statements that he has talked about. Obviously, he has made it very, very clear that no matter what happens, Israel is committed to returning all the hostages and destroying Hamas's military and governing capability. These two were the major goals with which Israel entered the war, and these goals is something that Netanyahu believes to be irreconcilable. There cannot be any compromise. Not only that, he even while signing the ceasefire or agreeing to the ceasefire has clearly stated that Israel, whenever it feels the need of, can continue the war after a pause in order to complete the goal of eliminating Hamas. We reserve the right to return to war, and this is something, the continuation of that, or what you can say, the implications enforcement of that is what we are seeing. Now, it is not so simple. It also, we have to understand this entire situation in the context of the domestic politics of Israel. If we talk about the political circles that largely has played out in the region of Israel, we know that Benjamin Netanyahu, for a very, very long duration of time, has ruled Israel, and he has been able to do so not only because of the support of his own political party, but also because of the coalition parties who has supported his policies, especially the what you can call as the policies related to the Hamas, policies related to generally to the Palestinian authorities or Gaza Strip. So the permanent ceasefire, if it would indeed have concluded at the end stage of ceasefire negotiation, it was possible that it could have ended his nearly 15 years of uninterrupted rule. So that is something, the violation of ceasefire or the fresh attack on Hamas or Gaza Strip can be considered as a way of political survival for Benjamin Netanyahu. Also, we understand that he was facing a lot of political pressure because one of the major leader of one of the coalition parties called as Bezalel Smotrich, he has already threatened that if Israel goes into the negotiation for the phase 2, instead of restarting the offensive against Hamas, he would withdraw the support from Netanyahu's party. Also, after the resumption of a strike, he again has Benjamin Netanyahu we talk about, he again has regained the support of another far-right partner, that is Itamar Ben-Gvir, who has left the coalition after the Israel agreed to the ceasefire with the Hamas. So all this political situation also points out that why beginning of counteroffensive was something that could have already this foreseen. Now, there is one other issue on which both Israel, Hamas, and generally Palestinian authorities disagree upon, that is who should govern Gaza after the war. If suppose that ceasefire indeed is reached, and then after that how Gaza will be governed, because unless and until the entire Hamas is decimated, destroyed, and they are made politically and militarily irrelevant, there cannot be 100% guarantee that Israeli territory will be safe, or there cannot be fresh attack on the Israel. So basically, the consensus in Israeli politics was that even if the Western-backed Palestinian Authority is brought to rule and to oversee the control of Gaza, we cannot be certain that Hamas would lose its influence. In even Palestinian Authority controlled Gaza Strip, Hamas would have a significant influence, and then using its influence, using what you can call as the youth member that it has, youth cadre that has, it could rebuild its military capabilities. Also, Israel, before moving into the second phase of negotiation, has proposed a new proposal that it said is also backed by the United States. That proposal was that Hamas would have to release half of the remaining hostages, and in return, and as a response of that, there will be a 7-week extension of the truce. This is something that was rejected with Hamas because they said that this was not the part of the initial or earlier ceasefire agreement or deal that they had signed in the January. So they had not agreed to earlier. So obviously they will not agree to now. So these all situations is something that we can consider as collectively responsible for the violation or the end of the ceasefire. Now, before military attack, launching military attack, Israel also has taken a lot of strict action, such as the Gaza Strip, in which the aid was resumed again few days before. The Israel has halted the import of all food, fuel, and other humanitarian aid to Gaza. Not only that, it has cut off the electricity of the Gaza region also. That to some extent has affected the drinking water supply because the desalination plant has stopped working there. Israel also has said that it would not withdraw from a strategic corridor that it had on the Gaza's border with Egypt as stipulated in the agreement. So this was a part of agreement, but Israel has said that it will not accept that part of the agreement. Now, the entire violation or the end of ceasefire, does it mean that Trump had failed? Because you know that when Trump came into power, the first thing that happened, if talk about in the international relation, or we can say at the global level, the most important development was the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement. And also he has taken credit because he said that he was the architect behind, and we can say the broker behind the ceasefire in January. But since then, also when he has given a lot of press conferences, especially the joint press conference that he gave with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, it seems that he has appeared to shower on what you can call as a ceasefire, and he has stood steadfast behind every decision that Benjamin Netanyahu has taken in relation to the Hamas. He also has warned that all hell will break loose if Hamas does not immediately release the hostages, while saying that's a decision for Israel to make, that how it will respond to if Hamas do not release the hostages. And also a few weeks back, he has given a very condensed statement where he has said that that is the United States, is ready to accept Gaza Strip as its own territory, to take control over Gaza Strip. All the refugees or the people that are residing in Gaza Strip should be permanently relocated to the nearby Arabian countries such as Jordan, Egypt, etc., Lebanon, etc. And he wanted to create what he refers as a Riviera on Mediterranean. Gaza Strip can be converted into a peaceful region, attracting a lot of tourists and businesses. So that is how he has talked about it. Obviously, it has faced a lot of criticism from the Arabian nations, many countries. Egypt and Jordan obviously categorically rejected this plan, that they will not accept any Palestinian refugees. Rather, they have right to live in the Palestinian land. And not only that, even the American partners such as Saudi Arabia, UAE, and all, they also have criticized this particular stance of Donald Trump. So that is how we can understand the entire situation has unfolded in past few months. And now the ultimate fate and future of Hamas or Gaza Strip or the entire region itself, okay, because again Israel Hamas war has begun, we can say, with the fresh launch of strike by the Israel. But what actually happens in the next couple of weeks and couple of months is very interesting to see. So that is all about this particular video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your fellow aspirants, as well as subscribe to our channel for more such helpful content. Thank you very much.